let's move into some consciousness stuff.
Okay.
So I would like to talk about quantum entanglement and consciousness and how they blend together.
Yeah, beautiful. That's a huge topic. I talk about that in my Manifest Destiny classes every year because it's a huge topic for people to understand how they're manifesting and how they're even getting ideas. A lot of the times you're entangling with information. If you go into a laboratory and you take two particles and you use a laser with something called parabolic down conversion, you can get those particles on the same frequency. Once you get those particles to vibrate at the same frequency, you can entangle them. Once they're entangled, what happens is, let's say they were atoms, right? Mm-hmm. Atoms all have spin rates. So you can get one is spinning rating up and the other one is spinning down, and they're entangled. If I take the atom that's spinning down and take it to the other end of the galaxy, or the other end of the universe for that matter, if I had the capability, if I was to make the one local to me spin up, the one that's down will go up, and vice versa. I can utilize that to send rudimentary communication through ups and downs, zeros and ones, right? So you have this entanglement that happens which bypasses the speed of light. It bypasses space-time. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, right? So now what scientists discovered later on is that our thoughts phase in and out of this dimension, our synapses between our neurons in our own brain. They disappear sometimes and go where? They say that they're going and entangling with information in other dimensions, other places. So I began to hypothesize that this could be the reason behind ideas popping up in your head, people unknowingly developing the same inventions at the same time in different parts of the world simultaneously, roughly around the same time. And also the capability for people to manifest things and attract things into their life. A lot of the times I believe that the way that you're thinking and focusing your mind, your brain, your conscious energy, it becomes a magnet. So if you look at Einstein's theory of relativity and you look at a planet, you'll see that a planet warps space around it. That's why gravity happens. Things fall toward the mass because space is warped, it's bent. Replace that planet with your consciousness. Now that's warping the ether of this metaverse. And what's happening is things are falling toward you when you focus on them. The things that you want to bring into your life, negative or positive, whatever you focus on, is falling toward you. A lot of the times I believe that part of that falling toward, the initiation of it, is an entanglement. When you start to focus your mind heavily on a specific thing that you want to manifest into your life or bring into your reality, somehow those synapses entangle with something in the universe. Then the universe says, send this his way, send this her way, and it begins to fall toward you. And this is how I believe on the spiritual level, this ability for us to attract things into our life and attract our realities into our life based on what we're focusing on, conscious thought, happens. And what's interesting with the conscious thought is, we now know that, like I said earlier, our mind is connecting to up to 11 dimensions, which is pretty interesting. So as you're focusing on things, you could even be connecting to information in higher dimensions. Could it be that some psychics, mystics, right, Edgar Casey, who would go into this type of a half daze and tap into information to give people cures for their illnesses and diseases that would actually work? Could he be tapping into quantum entangled thoughts that exist? He said he would send his mind out into the universe to get the answer because the answers already exist. And he would get the answer back. So in some way, I believe we're all entangling with information throughout the universe. It's just that sometimes we don't discern what that information is, and some people who seem to have these special abilities are able to discern the information as it comes back in, analyze it, and then it can actually even speak on it or utilize it in some way, shape, or form.
Do you think everybody has these abilities?
Yeah, I think everyone
Only
has
a couple of us have developed them.
Right, I think that we all had them at a higher level. If you look into the ancient texts again, there were people here already, and their bones have been found. Bigger jaw bones, much bigger skulls, which means bigger brains, not smaller brains, bigger brains. We know this because there's more mass capacity, more cranial capacity for mass in the skull area. And so we're talking about a very sophisticated cousin of ours that existed here before we became Homo sapiens sapien. And I believe that we all have these abilities natural, telekinesis, telepathy, psychic abilities, and the ability to observe the Earth's magnetic field. All of that was built into us and still is. If you look right now in science, we have billions of magnetite crystals in our heads, but yet you and I can't navigate the Earth without GPS. Why is that? Our magnetite crystals are still tracking Earth's magnetic field. We are completely unaware of it. They took a person, put them into a room, put a giant bar magnet over their head, and put a cap on their head to track the crystals or orientation. The crystals were tracking the orientation of the magnet. We should be able to navigate like turtles and birds do and so forth and else, but we don't have the ability to, because why? We've lost our conscious awareness of what's already happening inside of us. Then we have a lot of junk DNA. I don't believe it's junk. I believe that DNA used to be connected, and that now it's been disconnected by some artificial force, which has disconnected us from a lot of our natural, everyday, birthright given abilities.
What is junk DNA?
What scientists say is junk DNA is just extra DNA that they have no idea what it's for. It's just kind of laying around, but it's not used for anything whatsoever. It just happens to just be in the body, but it's totally useless, not plugged into anything.
Okay.
But in my opinion, it's supposed to be plugged into something. It's supposed to be connected. It's supposed to be active. And, we know that DNA is a storage medium of information.